Hello and welcome back to Guided Souls. I am your host, Katie, and I'm so excited to be back here for another week with you guys. If you prefer to watch instead of listen, you can head on over to my YouTube channel at Guided Soul Katie, and you can also find the link to that in the show notes. I'm really excited about today's topic, and I think that a lot of you will be as well, and that is how to talk to dead people. And I know that that's a little abrasive in how I phrase that, but I'm a medium. I have a dark sense of humor. And I also kind of think that would be a dope title of a book someday, How to Talk to Dead People. So I'm manifesting it, putting it out in the universe. If you happen to know a book editor, have your people call my people, which is just me. But for today, we are going to focus on how to talk to dead people in the context of this podcast. And really, what I mean is how to talk to your dead people, your past loved ones. And I promise that's the last time I'll say dead people. And I will now start referring to them as your past loved ones. I truly believe that everyone has the ability to connect with their past loved ones if they want to. I do think that certain people are given the gift of mediumship when it comes to being able to connect with other individuals' past loved ones. However, I do not think that I am special in the fact that I can connect with my past loved ones. I think it's absolutely something that is available to you as well if you would like it to be. I actually have a lot to say on this topic, which makes sense since this is what I do on an everyday basis. So I will likely break this up into two different episodes. So I will be talking to you about the top 5 things that have helped me to learn to connect with my own past loved ones. I'll use my own experiences as examples, but I'll make sure to give you so many practical ways to apply this into your own life so you can go out and try this today. And we'll do a few this week and a few next week just so that I can really give them all justice and go into the level of detail that I think will be necessary and helpful for you all to know. And before I dive in, there are a few caveats that I want to give. So there are so many different ways to connect with past loved ones. The tips that I'm giving you today are not the only ways you can do it. This is just a construct to help you develop and discover your own way. So feel free to go in whatever direction you feel called in. If some of this works for you and others don't, that's totally fine. Ultimately, whatever feels the most natural to you will be the most powerful. So there is no right or wrong way to do this. However, if you just want a place to get started and you find a construct helpful, I'm here to help. And I also want to mention that most of these techniques can also be applied to connecting with your spirit team or specific angels or guides. So you can experiment with connecting with those other beings as well. But I do think it can be a really helpful place to start to connect with a past loved one that you have known on this earth because you know what their energy feels like and they can sort of help you to learn the language of connecting with them. So, with that being said, the number one thing that helped me above anything else when wanting to connect with my past loved ones, and for me specifically, my dad, was giving him unwavering faith that he was communicating with me. And I know that this is very difficult to do. We all have logical minds that want to tell us that the things that we are seeing or hearing are just coincidences. And the answer is that's correct. You can chalk up basically anything to a coincidence if you want to. And if you continue to do that, you will not be able to develop the language of connecting with your past loved one. So, what I always say to people is start with one specific past loved one that you want to connect with, and then give them at least 1 week of unwavering faith of knowing that they are communicating with you. I would urge you to do more than 1 week, but if you just need to start somewhere and 1 week is all you can give, they will take it. For me, something that I struggled with before I really developed my ability to connect with my dad was I wanted to have these signs of there is no possible way that this could be anything other than my dad coming through. Like, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is him, some grand, gesture that I just cannot deny or use logic to work my way through. And to be completely honest with you, that's not usually how things work. Occasionally in my mediumship readings, I will speak to someone who has had an experience like that, but most people haven't. And it doesn't mean that our past loved ones aren't communicating with us. It just means that they may not be as strong of a communicator as some other souls with their past loved ones here on earth. So it's not indicative of their communication style here on earth at all. My dad was a very good communicator while he was here. However, I have found that his signs and the ways that he comes through are more subtle. And so I used to hear a song on the radio that reminded me of him and just think, that's a coincidence. And I wish I could be the type of person that heard a song on the radio and thought, yes, this is a sign from my dad. But as long as I was waiting for that huge sign to come in that I could not explain away, I was never going to be the type of person that was able to connect with him on a deep level. And if I didn't have faith and open my eyes to all of the different ways that he comes through for me, I never would have seen them. So, what I like to tell people is when you see something and a thought pops into your mind, oh, I wonder if that's my dad giving me a sign right now. The answer is yes. And I know that that is hard to believe, but that is what it requires in order for you to develop this language with them, because past loved one spirits are not going to give us signs and communication if they don't think we're listening. And so for the next week or more, if you can, anytime you see something, you see a bird, you see a type of flower, you find a coin, and you think, oh, I wonder if that's insert past loved one name sending me a sign. I want you to replace that thought with, thank you so much for giving me this sign. Whoever it is that's giving you the sign, make sure you say their name, so or who they are to you. So thank you for giving me this sign, Dad. I'm so excited to receive even more. Don't try to figure out what the sign is trying to tell you. Just recognize that it is their presence. It is them making themselves known to you. And instead of wondering, acknowledge it and have gratitude for the fact that they are coming through for you, and let them know that you're excited to receive even more from them. And the other really subtle nuance that does take a little bit of time to build up, but it's seriously one of the most powerful ways that I have been able to connect with my dad and really develop a relationship with him now that he's passed on, is when I feel his presence, instead of wondering if it's real, I say, thank you so much for visiting with me. So this has happened to me 2 times that were very overwhelming feelings that honestly brought me to tears. One was when I was walking on a beach at a beach that we used to go to when I was a kid, and I just, felt this overwhelming feeling of his presence being with me that brought tears of joy to my eyes. And then the other was in the place that I live in. I was snowshoeing a few years ago. And again, both of these were before any of my spiritual gifts were online, but I just saw like the sunlight reflecting off the snow in a certain way that kind of made it sparkle. And I just felt like my dad is here. Like I just had that feeling like my dad is here. It happens a lot when I'm out in nature. And so again, instead of wondering if it's real, you would say, thank you so much for visiting with me. I so appreciate you being here with me. Remember, they will not give us messages if they don't think that we are listening. So it's about showing them over and over and over again that you are listening. And it's also about reprogramming your brain to trust yourself and to trust your past loved one coming through. The more that you choose to go with faith instead of logic, the more your brain will naturally go there. It will make space for these spirits and these past loved ones to come in, and it will end up being your default setting instead of, I wonder if that's them. That might not be them. How do I know if this is a sign or not? Your default setting will be, thank you so much for this sign. Thank you for being here with me. I'm so excited to receive more. Now, the second thing that has helped me really connect with my dad and my past loved ones was learning their language. And I'm going to break this up into two different sections because it is a lot. It's literally like learning a new language. So first, I'll talk about learning their signs, and then I will talk about learning their communication styles. So, learning their signs is so fun. It truly is just about opening your heart and your mind to see what specific signs they are going to send in for you. I do know that some people ask for very specific signs. So they will say, please send me 3 lemons in a bowl, and then I'll know that you're with me. You can do that. If I'm being 100% honest, I find that to be a little bit rude sometimes, and it can sometimes set them up for failure because all past loved ones have different communication styles, and some are stronger in some areas than others. You may be setting up your past loved one for failure if you require them to give you a certain sign in order to prove to you that they are there with you. And when you put it in terms like that, you wouldn't make someone here that you love prove themselves to you. So why would you make someone who has passed on prove to you that they are there by making them give you a specific sign? They will be much stronger and better at coming through to us if we allow them to come through how they want to come through and how they are best able to come through. So while you are having your week of unwavering faith, you can also let your past loved one know, I am ready and open to see whatever signs you give me. Please help me to direct my attention to those signs when I see them and to acknowledge your presence as they come in. There are so many signs around us all the time. I feel like I'm pretty good at recognizing them, and I probably still miss dozens of them every day. Be open to any and all signs that come through. So, things to look for are animals, numbers, flowers, coins, feathers, music, TV shows, social media posts, podcasts, even things people say, signs that you drive by, license plates, bumper stickers, the weather, like a sunset or a storm, objects that are found in random places, flickering of lights or power outages, odd coincidences, running into certain people. The list can go on and on and on. That is how many signs they are sending us every day. And it's like, once you start to recognize those, you'll be like, wow, actually, they are everywhere. And when you're looking out for these signs, some of them may be more of a one off, and then you may find some that are recurring, or that when you see them, you get a really strong feeling that it's your past loved one. So maybe, every time you see a bird, you feel their presence a little bit, but when you see blue jays, you feel it really strongly. And then okay, blue jays is a specific sign for them. Maybe you start to have very specific songs come up at random times, and that really makes you feel like your past loved one is with you. Okay, they come to you through music. Maybe you find coins or feathers in random places, on walks, in your house somewhere. Okay, that is a sign that they give you. And it doesn't have to be just one, it can be many different things, but you may start to see some recurring things, especially for specific individuals. But remember, the key to this, especially in this first week, is to not question it. Have unwavering faith that this is them. And anytime you wonder, I wonder if this is them. Just replace it with, thank you so much for sending me this sign. I'm so excited to receive more. And do not try to figure out what they are trying to say. Just thank them for being there. You are building this trusting relationship and language together. And the more that you listen and just appreciate their presence, the stronger their communication is going to get with you. When I talk about learning your past loved one's specific communication style, this goes a little bit beyond the first two. So those kind of feel like connecting with your past loved one 101, and this is maybe 102. So it's a little bit further and deeper into connecting with your own spiritual gifts. So if you just want to start with those first two, you can absolutely do that. But if you're ready to dive a little bit deeper, then you can learn your past loved one's specific communication style. So this comes into play when you are attempting to speak to them. A lot of times when signs come through or we feel their presence, it truly is just about being with them and appreciating them. But we also want to have real conversations with them, right? We want to feel guided by them, have insight from them. And that's where this comes in. So you can receive specific messages from them. You can ask them questions and actually get a response from them. And these are techniques that I have used to connect with my past loved ones, understand their communication styles, and I believe that they will help you do the same. So, the number one thing to do is to go to a quiet place where you won't be interrupted and no one can see you. It's best if this is a closed room. It could be outside, but I almost think that going out in nature and connecting with them is a totally different thing that we will cover in the next episode. So for this one, I really would just focus on someplace that is so quiet and enclosed. And for me, I actually find it really helpful to go into my closet with the light shut off and shut the door. I just feel like it drowns out all of my senses. I know that there's no one that's going to see me. There's no one that's going to, accidentally open the door or something like that. So I can really zone in on connecting with my past loved ones. And if you are in a place where, okay, I can shut the door, but it's still noisy, I would recommend putting in headphones and either having noise canceling headphones or white noise can also be a great way to help you kind of clear your mind because that's also a part of this that can be pretty difficult. So once you are in your quiet place where you won't be interrupted, in order to connect in with them, the first thing I would do is find a breathing technique that works for you and that feels most natural to you. So this is going to feel a little silly for me to demonstrate, but for me, I take 2 inhales through my nose and then I exhale through my mouth, and I do that 10 times. And for some reason, I feel like it really wakes up my third eye. So I go, you do not have to do that. That feels like it stimulates something for me, but maybe you want to feel more grounded and centered and focused, in which case you can do the, I think, box breathing. So it's inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Or you can do ones that are tied to yoga, something like that. It's like it doesn't have to be any specific breathing style. It just needs to be one that feels right to you and that helps you stay present, centered, and grounded, but that also feels like it's clearing your mind in some way. I don't do a whole lot of visualizing in terms of visually connecting with the 5D. Some do, in which case you can imagine a root coming from your root chakra and tethering you deep into the earth, and then imagining a light beam coming from the crown of your head out into the sky, allowing information to come in. For some reason, that has never been particularly helpful for me, but I do know that that is something that is helpful for a lot of people. So if that feels natural to you, you can go ahead and try that. Once you have done your breathing technique and visualization, if that's helpful, You can set the intention that you would like to connect with this specific past loved one, and then try to make your mind as blank as possible to allow them space to come in. This is so much easier said than done. If you have ever tried meditating and you're just trying to focus on your breath and your mind keeps going in all different ways, you get how difficult this is. And this is a step further than that, because I don't even want you to focus on your breath. I want you to literally try to make your mind blank. Just imagine. I guess this is where a visualizing technique comes in, because I do use this. I imagine that my mind is like a dark room with nothing in it. So I'm visualizing space being in my mind. There's no clutter, there's just only space so that messages can come in. And for some reason, I like to picture mine as being dark, but you could picture yours as a white room. But mine doesn't have any sort of boundaries on it. So I think that also helps to visualize, okay, anything can come in because there are no boundaries in this room that is my mind. I was about to say, if you feel your mind start to wander, but I'll switch that to when you feel your mind start to wander, because it will absolutely happen. It happens to me every single time. It is totally fine. Give yourself grace. You don't need to be upset with yourself. Just recognize that you have wandered off. That is okay. And come back to the present moment and back to that feeling of trying to clear your mind and allowing space for this past loved one to come in. Time also seems to be something that tends to get in the way. So I'll wonder, like, have I been doing this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Am I running late to something? Have I not been doing it long enough? So if it's helpful, you can set a timer just so that you know you don't have to worry about that at all. I typically try and shoot for 15 to 20 minutes, but if you want to start with 5 to 10, that's totally understandable. Just know that the more time you give them, the more time they will have to come through. And sometimes it does take a while, especially at the beginning, because you are both learning how to communicate with each other. Just give them lots of time, try to be patient, and be open to how they come through. This is where you really learn their communication style. What pictures are coming through? Is it words? Do you hear words? Is it in their voice? Is it words that they would say, but it's in your voice? Is it pictures? Is it showing you memories? Is it showing you future possibilities? Are they giving you song lyrics? Are they showing you a specific movie? Do you have an intuitive urge to go somewhere or do something? Give them a lot of time and be patient with them and yourself, and just be curious. And especially at first, once you come out of this, I would definitely write down whatever comes through, because again, you'll start to pick up on these themes of how they come through. Like, okay, this past loved one tends to replay memories or show me pictures, whereas this past loved one, is more focused on words. And, a lot of questions that people have are, how do you know it's not your own thoughts? And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. You may not find another medium who is ever this honest with you. You don't. You don't know that it's your own thoughts. You will never know for sure that it is your own thoughts. Anyone who says that they do know for sure are lying to you. It's not possible for a human to know that for sure. This is where faith comes in, and you can use your discernment. How do the messages feel to you? Do they feel calming? Do they feel loving? Does it feel like your past loved one's energy? You know them. You've been with them. You know what their presence feels like. Does it feel like that? Do you feel a shift in your own energy? If you feel stressed, scattered, anxious, or fearful, it is not from them. It is your own ego and your own mind getting in the way. And your ability to use this discernment and to really have faith that they are coming through will build each time you do this. And each time you have more and more faith in it, they're going to come through stronger and stronger. Once you have started to learn their specific language, just let them lead the conversation. Don't necessarily go into it wanting to get a specific answer or talk to them about a specific thing. They will let you know what they want to talk about. And that's another cue if you're wondering, is this my thoughts or if it's theirs, especially if it's something that you weren't thinking about and you weren't really planning on talking to them about. They are bringing it up to you for a reason and you need to hear it for a reason. But as you start to grow and learn this language together, you can start to ask them more specific questions. Really, time, patience, and faith is what is going to help you to build this language together. I think just talking about faith in general, I think a lot of us, especially, before I didn't have these spiritual abilities, we assume that someone who has these spiritual abilities, it's so obvious for them. They know without a shadow of a doubt. They never had to work on this or build it or anything. And that's not how it happens for everyone. That's not how it happened for me. And we have to believe in ourselves that we have this ability, that we can grow this ability, that our past loved one is helping us grow this ability in order to develop that strength and that faith and that relationship with them on the other side. Now, I do have more sort of tips and tricks that I want to share on this specific topic, but I don't want to overload too much information into one episode. So I'm going to save that for next week because you have plenty of homework to do this week if you choose to. Obviously, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. If you're already super zoned in and you can connect with your past loved one, amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. But it never hurts to try something new, right? Maybe you might learn a new technique in terms of connecting with your past loved one that you didn't know before. So to recap, if you want to do this, choose one specific past loved one that you want to connect with. Give them at least 1 week of unwavering faith. Anytime you have the thought, I wonder if this is them, replace it with, thank you so much for bringing this in for me, for showing me your presence. I'm so excited to receive more. Set the intention that you want to receive signs from this individual over the course of the next week and ask them to help you direct your attention and open your mind and your heart to these signs when they come in and to recognize that it is your past loved one. Be on the lookout for any and all types of signs. Remember that nothing is a coincidence, and it takes that unwavering faith to believe in that. But once you start to believe in that, you will be shocked by the amount of signs that are all around you all the time. And then if you want to take it a step further, you can start to learn their communication style by connecting with them on a deeper level and really starting to open a dialogue and have a conversation with them in a way that feels natural to you. And if you try any of these and they don't necessarily feel natural or you're pulled in a different direction, go towards that by all means. Whatever feels most natural to you is what will be most powerful. So always, always, always follow your intuition and where your heart is leading you. I know this was kind of a different episode with a lot of info, so I hope that you find this helpful. If you try this and you have some revelations or some really cool things happen, let me know. I love to hear that kind of stuff. The best way to get a hold of me is email. DMs get lost in the sauce. I'm just going to say that. I have a very hard time responding to all the DMs. So email me, guidedsoulllc@gmail.com. I also put it in the show notes. Let me know how this goes for you. I cannot wait to hear all about it. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone else who wants to connect with their past loved one, please send this to them. You can try it together and talk about it afterwards. And if you don't already, make sure you go follow me on TikTok and YouTube at Guided Soul Katie. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for listening, and I'm excited to give you the second part of this next week. So until then, keep going. You're doing amazing, and I love you.